dean of a business school at a small college certainly provides someone with a lot of liberties. For example, there is far less bureaucracy to deal with. I came to Fort Lewis College from a much larger research university. And frankly, it would be frustrating sometimes to cut through the bureaucracy to get things done. Currently, if I need to speak to a VP, a president, a provost, I pick up the phone or I walk over or I send a text. And generally, all of those individuals who are extremely important for a dean to be able to do his or her job are available. I know when I was at larger schools, it could literally take several weeks to get an appointment to see the provost, which, if you need the individual at that point in time, really isn't an efficient way to be an effective dean. So having more access to VPs, administrators, even staff in general is extremely beneficial and does provide you with certain liberties. I think you can be a little more nimble. I think you can be a little more responsive to needs and situations that arise. From a AACSB perspective, I think serving as dean in a small school has been an extremely beneficial experience because there's a certain level of camaraderie that exists between deans at small schools. And it's not to say it doesn't exist amongst deans at larger schools, but I know for a fact it exists amongst deans at smaller schools. We have an active small school network that most of us try to be a part of. We try to get together at conferences and events and are always there to help each other out. And if someone has a question or situation that arises, they go to the small school network message board and generally can get pretty quick responses from colleagues because there is that level of camaraderie. I think all the small school deans want to see all the other small school deans be successful. And we can also relate to other small school deans' situations and environments. Serving as dean at a small school does come with some constraints. Not surprisingly, being at a smaller school does typically mean you have a smaller budget, maybe not always, but typically. And then that does have your ability to do some things. For example, recruiting faculty might be more difficult if you're serving as a dean at a smaller school. We certainly have been successful at recruiting phenomenal faculty, but I think that's because we have a great faculty already and people want to be a part of our culture. They want to live in our environment. We live in a beautiful part of the country in Southwest Colorado, but having fewer resources does certainly put a constraint on some of the things you are able to do. Another constraint is small schools tend to have fewer administrators. For example, we have one associate dean. I know some schools that have 2, 3, 4 associate deans. We don't have traditional department chairs or department heads, whereas other schools typically would have a head of every department. And so that means deans at smaller schools may wind up getting a little more down in the weeds, doing things that they might not otherwise do if they were at a larger school. But I think there's perks that come along with that as well, because then you see everything that's going on and you're a part of it.